January 7, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. For the most part, it was just kind of a gradual sell-off with some consolidation, then more selling off. That's how I drew up the charts. The pre-market highs and pre-market lows didn't really come into play, so I'm going to delete them shortly. And then I didn't find this big channel till much later in the day. But even then, as you can see, it didn't really help because it didn't really provide that many key entry points or provide anything to help as a key entry point. There are a few setups today. One of them I thought was actually pretty decent, which is over here. I took a total of 3 trades. I was profitable in the first one, and unfortunately the next 2 were red trades. So 1 win, 2 losses. The third trade was actually it was a pretty bad, I think it was a immediate reaction to the loss because it was taken in quick succession after the second trade. When I lost it, I just kind of invented a reason to take the trade, and I'm going to get to that shortly. So the only economic data that came out today was, let's see, for Forex Factory was 7 a.m. Pacific Standard, which is about right here. I guess you could say it caused this big sell-off. It was the ISM Services PMI and the job openings. So there's these black arrows that kind of indicated where I thought I saw something, but it's not even an almost trade, it's just something I noticed. And then after the fact, I went back and looked at it to try to see if there was a way to know something was going to happen and take a trade. But apparently there wasn't, so they just stay as black arrows, and I don't mark them as an actual setup. So in the pre-market, there's a sell-off, then it starts moving up on this yellow up channel. So on the open, it's already at the highs. It creates the pre-market high here and the pre-market low. So I'm thinking, okay, there's a possibility it could be in a range, or it could start, rallying or pushing up or pushing back down. Creates a new high, comes down. You have a first entry long, second entry long, no setup here, below the EMA. Break of this green down channel needs to test low, which it does. Then it starts reversing on a correction, moves up on this yellow up channel. There's a small breakout here, or overshoot. First entry, second entry, below the EMA, nothing really here. So then this is getting close to when the economic data is being released. I did see a new low here. First entry short, pullback. Second entry short. Now the second entry short, you don't have it confirmed yet. This is an inside bar. Then it flushes down. So I was looking back and I was thinking, was there any way for me to really kind of know to take a trade? Obviously not, because this is just a hunch and a guess, because this is an inside bar, good signal bar, but that doesn't really mean anything because you just don't really have any clear confirmation just yet. Prices move down, and this is right 2 minutes before the economic data comes out, and I saw a new high, first entry long, second entry long. So first of all, to think of going short is risky because you're going to be selling into this support. Plus, this is only 2 minutes away from economic data coming out. And then here it flushes down. So, after this, I got FOMO for sure, thinking like, was there something here that I could have known about to take this trade? And I don't think so, because it's a new high coming to the top of the range, first entry, second entry. You could argue that maybe at the bottom of the range, but you only have 2 touches right now. So you don't really have a full confirmed trading range yet or something super reliable. So that would have just been a hunch, like to either, well, if you took a long, you would have failed. But you could say it's a first entry, second entry long failure. Technically, it hasn't failed on this candle, and it doesn't fail on this candle either. And then it flushes down. So I don't think there was really a way to have anticipated something like this. If you got the trade, that's awesome, but I don't know that it was necessarily based upon something you could have known for sure about. Prices move down. It breaks out of this green channel, and it kind of fits this orange one better because I did try to capture both of these legs. And it just ends up looking really weird if I kind of extended it that way without having an overshoot. So I just treat it as a spike and a channel down. Pushes down, creates a new low. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. The second entry short I actually thought was a possible trade because it's a break of this purple up channel, tests the high, touches the EMA, and has a rejection. Now, this is a pretty decent signal bar, and I'm thinking, even though this orange channel has tested the low, the bias is coming down. It did bounce off the bottom of the pre-market lows right here, but this just seems like such a good setup because the break of the purple and test the high, it might be coming down. So I wanted to see what happens next. When it flushes down like that, I was thinking of trying to drop in a trade here. And as you can see, I wouldn't have gotten filled because my entry would have been way up here. This guy never came back up to touch it. And considering that this is a 18 tick bar, if I had my trade entry here, I'd be a little weary of having something open pretty much where this guy's closed, coming all the way back up, picking me up, and then flushing down. So I'd either have to increase my risk, which if I did, my stop would be up here. I'd have to go for a larger reward, but I was worried about potentially hitting the low of day or hitting the support of the pre-market. So it's a possible trade if you're more aggressive and you saw it, but saw it better than I did. When prices move down, it was actually where I set up my first trade. I have new high, say first entry long pullback. Here it actually creates a second entry long by 1 tick. But since it closed here, I was thinking this is a potential first entry long, second entry long failure. Also have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. So if the next candle actually pushes below this guy, you're going to have a confirmed second entry long failure and a confirmed second entry short. So actually opened, pushed up, and it came down. It fluttered around for a little bit, so I dropped my order 1 tick below this guy. There's just enough for a 2-point scalp. And I look back at this, and I know there was definitely a little more aggressive because it's very tight trading. You could argue that the break of this green down channel has tested the low, but I saw it as push down, 1 attempt, 2 attempt. But it is bottoming here, and it could be a trading range day. So it's aggressive in that it could have just bounced off here and reversed back on me and stopped me out. So in hindsight, I think this probably would have been something that I should have just skipped. It's just the sell-off could have been played out. So it's a little ambiguous. But I was lucky enough to get the 2-point scalp, move my runner from 1 tick above here to 1 tick below the entry, and unfortunately my runner got stopped out. And then prices continue moving down. No clean setups that I could see. It broke out of this pre-market range for sure. Now it looks like it's coming back in, reversing. I drew this, but I didn't color it in because it's not very reliable. This potential channel here. There's a new low, first entry short, push back. There's a second entry short. I called this an almost trade because this is the first break of the EMA in quite a while. So EMA is holding prices down. It finally broke and it closed above. This signal bar, I wanted to be more bearish to feel more confident, but there is a rejection off the top of this green up channel. So the yellow down channel wants to test the low. First entry short, this could be the start of the second entry short, which is right here. I see it. It just isn't a good enough signal bar for me. So I had to wait it out, hoping for a lower high below the EMA. But you don't get a lower high. You technically get a lower high here, but it's not very convincing. And these candles are just too side by side. Prices then continue moving down. It looks like it's kind of following this channel. It doesn't fit that well, so I'm not giving too much trust in it, which is back above. New low, first entry short, pull back. You technically have a second entry short here, but I don't really like this setup. There's already too many candles above the EMA, so I'm not convinced that it's necessarily going down. But again, I'm not also convinced that it's going to go moving up, like a failed second entry short. So I just kind of sit on hands. Prices move up. It hits the bottom of the pre-market range. And it breaks in, creates a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long failure. So this is confirmed second entry long failure, strong push below the EMA. I consider this an almost trade, and here's why. It's a really nice signal bar. Break of this orange up channel made one attempt. I mean, it only made one attempt up, so it could start a second attempt. This is a strong push through the EMA, and it engulfed the previous bar, but it just, this signal bar itself is 22 ticks, so that's really large. So on something like this, in order to ensure a good trade, I don't know necessarily you put your stop above this guy, or you put it way above here to ensure, you have a good stop. Pretty good probability it's going to move down before it comes hit your stop. But in the off chance that it actually does move up, you're going to factor in 3 extra points on top of your 5-point bar. So that's like an 8-point trade and just felt too dicey for the setup. Pushes down, you do get a lower high here, but it's not a very good signal bar. But in this case, this would have worked. But in my opinion, I think it was an almost trade for me. It's just the risk is just too large. It just didn't feel good enough. Prices then move down. It hits this consolidation range. This is just choppy. You can find all kinds of second entries and second entry shorts, second entry longs, failures as well. But it's just sideways consolidation right here. So nothing really to jump in on. Prices then move down. So I'm playing with different trend lines, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe there is some kind of loose channel here. hits this other consolidation. Actually, this sets up for a decent setup that I actually like. It's a new low. It's a first entry short pullback. Creates the second entry short. Second entry short. This happened pretty quickly though, so I don't know if I would have gotten in. I consider it a possible trade because it's a rejection off the top of this yellow down channel, rejection off the EMA, and it's in a range, so it's moving back in. There's enough room to scalp out for quick 2 points. Excuse me. I thought overall this was a decent setup. You could argue it's not really quite a triple test. It had a failed breakout here, but it had everything going for it. So plus it's making lower highs here, and this a little bit higher here, but then it got the EMA rejection. So it had 1, 2, 3 key entry points: EMA, top of the range, and second entry short. Then prices continue moving, pushes down, and now it breaks up and over. I mean, there are second entries here, but nothing really particularly uh, that attractive because you could say there's a new low, first entry short, second entry short failure. So when you see the second entry short failure, you just had this really strong push down on this yellow. Who's to say that it's not going to come back down and test the low, depending on how you drew your channel? You could have had this all encapsulated, good touches here. It could come back down and test the low. So I'm not 100% convinced that it's going to push back up and through yet. You do get a higher low, but this not very good signal bar. Consolidates too much sideways, pushes up on this green up channel, breaks out. There's an overshoot here. You have a new high, first entry long, count resets. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long off a bad signal bar. I don't really like that. And then you kind of create a higher low, but I figure that this higher low is more of an almost trade. It's confirming the visual first entry, pullback, second entry. So big one leg, second leg, higher low, good signal bar close. But other than that, it is coming from an overshoot. So coming from an overshoot and then starting to chop sideways. So that leaves it a little ambiguous in my opinion. And the signal bar is kind of big. It's a 4-point signal bar. So this is 16 ticks. But again, you'd probably put your stop loss down here. And to make it worthwhile, you have to scalp for a little bit more. In this case, if you went for 2 points from here, you would have gotten your 2 points. But then you would have gotten stopped out if you try to shoot for anything much more than 2 points. Starts bouncing around. EMA looks like it's holding again. New low. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short. Nothing I particularly like here. It was in this trading range initially. Then it made 2 legs up. Lower high here, but it's not a good signal bar. Maybe it's moving back into this trading range. So it's range, fail breakout, lower high, but this signal bar is just the wrong color. It needs to be bearish. Bounces, and it kind of pushes down. So it looks like it's 2 legs. Then it starts reversing back up. Keep in mind this down channel doesn't really exist yet. I'm going to go ahead and just delete this pre-market highs and lows for now just to clear up the chart. But nothing here. It's the first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short, but this is an inside bar. I'm not that fond of something like that. Prices then chop and then moves down on this orange down channel. Bounces, kind of pushes back up, creates a new low, first entry short, pullback. It creates a second entry short, but this is just too much stem for this small little body. And it looks like there's just enough for 1-point scalp, but debatable on a 2-point scalp. Granted, the low is here. You have to sit through this noise, and depending on what you're aiming for, you might have gotten out your 2-point scalp. If you went for anything more, you might have gotten stopped out here on these bars, or if you kept your stop above here, you definitely would have got stopped out here. Creates a failed breakout and a lower high. This lower high I thought was a possible trade. It's a new low, first entry short, second entry short confirmation, lower high, really strong signal bar. The only thing I just don't really like is the large signal bar risk. The prices move down, hits the lows. Again, it creates a new low, first entry short, pullback, creates a second entry short, and then create a second entry short confirmation, lower high, similar to this one, but this one's an even more terrible setup in that it already pushed below. I don't like that. It's a good signal bar. I don't like that I have even less room now to scalp out than I did here. Because here you could say with the lower high, there's enough room to maybe push all the way down to here. Here, I'm at the low of day, so I don't really like that. It's called an almost trade. Prices then continue moving down, bounces up. No clean setups that I particularly like. Second entry long here, but it's bad signal bar. Hits the highs, break of the green up channel, test the high, now it's reversing. First entry long, pull back, second entry long. You don't want to go long below the EMA. This looks like it's still in one leg. It's kind of leaving it alone. And it kind of comes to here where I actually take my my second trade. So it's a new low, it's a first entry short, second entry short, okay. It also looks like it's a failed breakout of this potential trading range. So at the time I was watching this, I saw a failed breakout. I saw a new low, actually a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. I saw this as second entry short failed breakout, one leg down. This up channel I thought has played out, one leg down, two attempts up. I'm thinking the two legs up, I'm expecting another leg like this coming back down. So this isn't a good signal bar close, so I enter on it anyways. As you can see, I enter at the low of this guy, expecting another big leg down because I thought the measured move was completed. It comes up and stops me out because I kept my stop one tick above here, and I was kind of kicking myself thinking I should have kept it above here. But as you can see, this would have stopped me out anyways, like on this candle. But this actually sets the second trade, the third trade actually. So this is a loser. It's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. This creates this lower high. It opens, and as it was moving right before the close, I said, okay, obviously I was early. This created a lower high. It's a bad signal bar for lower high though, but I still believe it's moving back into range. So I quickly jump on it at the lows here, and it flushes up and takes me out. So this trade was kind of anticipating another leg down here, and then this lower high trade was a knee-jerk kind of revenge on this setup that I should have just skipped and left alone. So this is a foolish thing. So I won one early, lost two in a row. So I just kind of decided, okay, I'm not in tune. I'm just going to leave things alone at this point because I'm probably going to do more damage to my accounts by, you know, trying to force and win these things back. So it was a bummer. It was definitely a test of mental strength and not revenge these trades back. So I'm red for the day. Now I'm just watching this. First entry long, pullback. This is technically a second entry long, but as an overshoot on the top of the range, I'm expecting corresponding overshoot here, so I'm not ready to just jump on this. Bounces and it comes back down. I think it's falling in this yellow down channel. Creates the second entry short, which I actually thought was a possible trade because it's a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, confirmed second entry short, decent signal bar. It is a little aggressive because it's such a long stem, but it is closing right at the open. So I thought this is a possible trade here, but I already kind of decided I'm not taking any more trades after this fiasco right here. Looks like it would have worked though. Then it made the measure move here. So it actually created the one leg, two legs up, and then this created the second leg that I was looking for here at this setup, and then jumped on for very poor reasons on this setup. So if I was early or not, it just this one I think was a better justification than this one for sure. Lower high just shouldn't have taken place. The prices move down, breaks out of this yellow down channel. No clean second entries, small little overshoot, first entry short. And the second entry short, but it is in a trading range, but it's far from the EMA, not even close to this green down channel. So I'm just leaving it alone. Then it kind of hits this consolidation area, pushes back down. Then it starts reversing. It's kind of getting close to the end of the day now. It's this other trading range. You have a new high, double top, first entry long, pull back, second entry long. This isn't a good signal bar to go long on. So I'd be looking for a higher low. Technically have a higher low here, but these candles are just side by side. I'm not that excited about it, especially when it already pushed up here two times. So when I see this, I'm not so sure it's going to have enough oomph to push through the triple time, especially after seeing this follow through. And it kind of pushes, kind of gets choppy into the close. So kind of how I saw the trades today. Definitely a poor trading reaction by me today because I think I was just doing pretty well, getting one win a day usually. And after I got this one, I think I just got some FOMO, wanted to try to push my luck. Took the loss, should have walked away, but added to it by taking a third actually trade, and it just kind of compounded the loss. So back to the draw, not really back to the drawing board, but tomorrow's going to be a new day. Just kind of have to reset my mind, hopefully not carry this forward. Down in my accounts for a little bit, but a couple of trading days or a couple of good trades should bring that back. So hopefully that was helpful.